Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 200 crore boy.
No, not at all.
200 crore boy.
250.
My bad.
प्रोड्यूसर की बल्ले बल्ले तो हम भी बल्ले बल्ले. प्रोड्यूसर्स खुश और हम प्रोड्यूसर्स के लिए खुश.
Well, as usual, I will not say hi to you, Ranveer Singh. I will say that I love you.
I love you. I love you. Just like my favorite Anumalek. अन्नू सर हमसे मिलते हैं ना कोई हाय नहीं, हल्लो नहीं, कोई बाय नहीं, कोई टाटा नहीं, सिर्फ आई लव यू एंड आई लव यू अनु जी. I love you.
Has the beast of Khilji left your being? Have you let go? Was it difficult letting go?
Every last bit of that spirit and energy has exited my being.
Ranveer, they say that...
Drove him out. Like, get out. Off with you, manhoos.
It was heavy, wasn't it? For a year and a few weeks.
Extremely.
I mean, yeah?
Yeah, it was extremely heavy. I went through an incredibly rough ride on this film. First of all, the prep process. And I could see it coming. I know my process. I know the kind of material I'm getting into. So even when I read the script, the reason I was apprehensive to take the part was because I knew what it might do to me. Even at the time I anticipated it, and I told Mr. Bhansali, I'm in a really happy space. I want to do like comedies and stuff. This is really heavy stuff. But he convinced me that I should explore the part, and even I thought to myself, man, I'm probably going to play an antagonist once in my life. Why not do it with Mr. Bhansali? So I committed to it, and then that prep process, I was studying some really dark themes, like working with some very, very disturbing material, texts and images and stuff like that. That really, they shook me to my bones. It's almost like inflicting that on yourself in order to, for the sake of the art, as they say. I had to generate the conviction to play Alauddin Khilji from somewhere, and all that kind of stuff, that greed, that manipulation, that's not in me. I have to understand it from another to put it inside my being, to be able to regurgitate it in the performance. So that process was difficult, and then the shooting of any costume drama is extremely difficult. Then the film was facing delays, so all that emotional angst when all those incidents started happening. Then the frustration, the anxiety of sitting at home not knowing what the fate of the film is, having to see Mr. Bhansali go through all of that and not being able to do much about it. And then when my main portions of the film and majority of my portions actually came up for shoot, we were already over time. We had to get the film made and released. There was hardly any time left. So all my stuff came on the back of each other, all the major stuff. So because of the delays, my shooting process was like 40-50 days plus straight, which is unheard of on a costume drama. आप 6-8 दिन शूटिंग करते हो, 3 दिन आपको ब्रेक दिया जाता है कि आपने इतना किया है, आप 3 दिन ब्रेक लेकर वापस आए so you can attack the next thing. But here, I'm shooting close to 50 days straight. I thought I was going crazy. I thought my brain had turned into pulp. My body was like jelly. Like I didn't know whether I was coming or going. So the process of shoot, because of the way the schedule was lined up, was extremely draining on me at every level. But what it did teach me is how far I can push and how much I can deliver against the odds and under pressure. And I've come out of it feeling like I've grown and learned something about myself. And now that the film is this mega success, there's only reason to celebrate, and I'm feeling very, very fulfilled.
Sometimes when your shoulders tighten up and then you're facing a lot of pressure, it's like a pinprick to a balloon and all the pressure just starts coming out. What did you do? Like sometimes I will just stare at the ceiling, or I'll watch Netflix when all the stress comes out. What's the first thing you did when it just came out and Khilji came out?
When Khilji came out, I went to the gym actually. I find that swimming, is almost like meditative for me. Playing sports is meditative for me. You're so in the moment, when you're playing sports. Because the nature of swimming, it is a meditative process, regulated breathing, repetitive action, So that, and I really like, I'm a big meathead that way. So I get immense joy out of lifting loha. So I go to the gym and, let out. There's I think I've got a lot of testosterone. Like when I did all my tests, my testosterone levels are very high. So I think I always need a vent for that, So I find that in weightlifting. So whilst there is, all these new age ways of working out and stuff, I'm still very traditional, that I really love just staring into a mirror and lifting heavy weights. So I find all of these things very therapeutic.
Yeah, Jim sir seems like a goofy Babaji. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're working on this serious film together, and you and him are close on screen. What kind of a character is he, man? I really enjoyed his performance in Neerja, and he's done a stellar job here with you. man.
Yeah, मैंने भी नीरजा देखी and I was mind blown. I was first of all, whilst watching the film, I was like, wow, Ram Madhwani, this is amazing casting. You got a solid actor from, somewhere in the Middle East to play this part, and incredible. You backed yourself in your storytelling. And then later I found out he's a Babaji from Bombay who does theatre. I was like, who is this guy? And I read up on him. I was so impressed by his performance. So when I read the material for Padmaavat, and I would get into these lengthy discussions about with Mr. Bansali, and during one of those conversations it struck me. I was like, hey sir, you have to try this guy. I don't know if you've seen Neerja, but there was the antagonist in Neerja he was an amazing actor. You got to check him out. For Malik Kafoor, I think he'd be great. And Jim sent an audition and he got cast. And
did he remember to thank you?
No, I should thank him because he's enriched my performance. He's lifted the film. He is one of the biggest assets of the film. He took an amazing part and made it everlasting. Padmaavat is now, now that the verdict is out on Padmaavat, it's seeming to me like it's a film that'll be remembered. It's not just a film that got critical acclaim and got box office numbers. It's one of those rare successes that ticks both those boxes together and encompasses both the best of both worlds. But it's also a film that people have watched multiple times in this theatrical run. The kinds of things they're saying about the film and about Alauddin Khilji and the performances, like, I have a feeling now that this film is going to be one of those films that has an everlasting memory, that'll be remembered, and that's the type of cinema you want to be a part of, the one that has a long life. Films like Band Baja Barat, Lutera, Baji Rao Mastani, Padmaavat. I think there are a lot of things to be proud of, and I'm extremely proud of Jim as well, to see what his work is on screen. And I performed with him, and to have an actor who's so present, so generous, and such a chilled out, cool human being. Like, I really feel like Jim's my brother.
You could hang with him. Like, you could do Xbox with him, just hang out at home doing nothing.
Even after pack up, as tired as we were, we'd spend at least 40-45 minutes to an hour just chatting about the day, chatting about the upcoming scenes, chatting about various things. So we really created a genuine bond over the course of the shooting of the film. And I found, and especially after seeing the film, how much Jim added to my performance. That's what you want in your co-actor, somebody who makes you look good. I couldn't have asked for more.
How will you reimagine India today? If you had an opportunity, after all the angst and the pain that you've been through, you're a happy boy, you're back to being happy. But if you were to reimagine India today, how would you reimagine it?
If I had to reimagine India, I would, in my perhaps naive, perhaps utopian fantasy, want people to be more compassionate. That's the main thing. And there to be, I don't even want to go into like peace and harmony. It's just a very basic thing. Just if I find people lack compassion. So if they can just be more compassionate to each other, to other living beings, I think a lot of things will fall into place.
You think education will help as far as that is concerned, or you think compassion is not something that education can do?
Absolutely. Even when I get involved, in that side or that aspect, charity, philanthropy, whatever it is, when I do that, I think the one thing that I feel for the most is education. I think that is the key, to a brighter future, and there's absolutely no doubt about it.
Now that you're back to being Ranveer Singh, those threads at Filmfare were so cool with Bappi Da, man. What was that moment? You both are popular culture icons. Talk to me about it.
Bappi Da is Bappi Da, the great. I mean, what an incredible moment for me to be on stage with him when he receives his Lifetime Achievement Award. That itself is a dream. I think for me, the loudest applause was the clapping of the hands of one man when he told me he loved my tribute performance that I did for him. That just put me over the moon. He was so effusive in his praise for the performance I had put up over a medley of his songs. That was just that was very fulfilling, because I did rehearse a lot for that act, not for anything else. I was enjoying it so much. It was a medley of 18 Bappi Da songs. It was like going to rehearsal was therapy for me. It was so much fun. So that was a performance that I thoroughly enjoyed. It is yet to air, but Bappi Da, he's one of a kind, And I think I wore 3 things that day, and all 3 things people had a lot to say about. Whether whether it was my Papi Gudiya t-shirt or it was my collage of vintage posters tuxedo or the P Daddy look that I wore on stage, the Siberian tiger printed bell bottoms and trench coat. I think that was a successful fashion day for me.
You just go with your feeling, what you're feeling that day, and you just put it on, right?
Absolutely. I don't really, I have zero thoughts in my head when I'm picking out something to wear. I know a lot of people dress to impress. I don't dress to impress at all. I just dress to amuse myself more than anything. It's like, there's that thought that I wonder what people will think of this, or if I would wear this. There's always people who think, okay, if I wear this, I just wear whatever the F I want. And I don't care. Bro, the other day, like, I don't know what, 3-4 days ago, my stylist got me a jacket and I loved it. So I wore it. And the next morning I found out it was actually from the women's line of Manish Arora's collection. I was like, wow. This is pretty amazing.
Mr. Guna, after Thierry Henry, you met Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
Jeez, man. What I love is that you're not self-absorbed. You just meet these guys and you're like any football
So
fan.
self-absorbed. I was like a melting softy ice cream in front of Patrick Vieira. Tu kya bol raha hai? I am now the very proud brand ambassador of the English Premier League in India. So they had all of these most incredible hospitality types of things set up for me. I was on pitch side. I met Sadio Mane. I went inside the tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel, my best friend was walking ahead of me, and at the end of the tunnel, he made the turn, and I could still see him, and he was like, oh my god. So I was like, what, why is he reacting this way? Obviously there's somebody. And I took 5 steps and I made the turn myself, and I was like, oh my god. We were like 2 schoolgirls around Patrick Vieira. He was so gracious, my god. What an incredible moment. One of the greatest defensive midfielders of all time, an Arsenal legend, a footballing legend, somebody whose play I've admired for so many years. To meet him in person was just incredible.
Alia and yourself are, you're Cancerian, she's Pisces. You seem to have a lovely buddy thing going after those Make My Trip things. You actually have partner goals. These wonderful pictures. It must be lovely, heartening to be with a gal like that. And she's wise beyond her years, isn't she?
She is very precocious. She is definitely wise beyond her years. And I did enjoy those, one-off Make My Trip ads that we used to do together. We still do together. The pictures actually from the latest shoot that we've done. But now I'm collaborating with her on Gully Boy. And this is my first proper feature. And these aren't fluffy advertisement scripts that we're executing together and collaborating upon. This is a proper feature film, and I really have no words to describe the talent of this girl. She blows me away. She blows my mind every day that we perform together. She is an extraordinary talent, and I don't like I said, I really don't know what to say about her. She's one of those extremely special co-actor experiences that I've had. Anushka, Deepika, Anil Kapoor, Jim Saab, Alia Bhatt. These are some of my most special co-actor experiences where you feel like there's so much love and trust in that dynamic, in that relationship. You can just lose yourself to that person. You look into their eyes and you connect with them, and the rest of the scene just falls into place, and you hardly have to do anything. It's almost as if they're doing it for you and they're just making you look good. That is the joy and fulfillment one gets out of working with a co-actor you can trust.
Vivian Divine.
Yo,
He's the boy. He's the boy.
He's the boy.
Yeah, so this must be such a cathartic experience. From a Khilji, you're now gravitating to these guys, the Gully Boys.
Yeah, the boys from the Naka, boys from the Naka, Sher Ka Ilaka. Rap and hip hop has been such a big part of my life ever since I was a kid. I grew up listening to Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg,
Tupac,
Nas, Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. And now what's incredible to see is that this flourishing hip hop scene that's coming out of Mumbai, my hometown, it's exactly like the inception of hip hop in Brooklyn and Harlem back then. These guys who have a tough existence and they write poetry that has embedded in it social commentary that has the potential to affect social change. and it becomes underground music and gets recognized as an art form, and these guys break through as recording artists. You know, it's the most incredible journey. These guys from Dharavi, Kurla, Kandivali, you have no idea the kind of talent that's out there, the kind of stuff they're writing, the kind of meter and flow. These guys are world class, and it gives me great pride and gives me a huge sense of responsibility and fulfillment to be putting this scene out there for everybody to see, you know, and it'll be a fresh world for people to, cinema goers, to experience. And it is really, I mean, it's a Zoya Akhtar film. It's a world class film being made. Every day I go to the set coming back beaming because we've achieved some kind of cinematic magic between Zoya, Alia, me, and the entire team, which is full of youngsters, by the way. It's just like 19-year-olds. Everybody's in their early 20s. It's just every day. It's just, I can't wait to go back the next day. Just, it's like, it feels like a party, you know. And we're also making a film, by the way. And we have them on set. Divine comes to the set. Kambhari comes to the set. Emiwe Bantai comes to the set. You know, Dogs Music. All the Bantais come on set. And at any given time, we have one person on the set who's just observing the process, curating the flavor of the film, making sure everything is happening in an authentic way. You know, it's a very rich experience for me.
छोटा सा मैं लड़का, छोटी चीजों पे मैं भड़का, मेरे दाल में नहीं था तड़का, घर पे बाप के रोज का लफड़ा दफना मुश्किलों को, मेरी माँ की कमाई ने बाप वाला रोल निभाया, मेरे भाई ने तैरना सीखा खाई में, इसलिए शब्दों में गहराई है, जिंदगी तो एक लड़ाई है जो पैसों में समाई है, खोटी पटेली तुम्हारी पी के, लेकर वाली डाई है तेरी, जिगर वाली डाई है तेरी, टिपल वाली डाई है जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, समझदार हो तो शिक्षा है. Yeah, we can go on. But yeah, Divine Baba, you know, he has been so generous in sharing his story, his experience, his music. He is a proper OG of the game, you know, and he's a blessing to us.
You pop some bubbly with the great Kapil Dev, Kapil Baji in the World Cup team.
Yeah.
Pop some bubbly, man.
Yeah.
Ledges.
Yeah.
With them.
The Ledges!
What an incredible story. I mean, you perhaps know the story of 83, but there is an entire generation that doesn't know where these guys were coming from. Proper underdogs. You know, when Mr. Kabir Khan came to me with the film, he said, I'm making a film on the 1983 World Cup win. I was like, hey, one of the well-known sports stories. And finally, somebody's making a feature film on it. But when he started narrating is when I realized cricket wasn't even cricket till 1983 in this country. That nobody believed in these guys. They thought they were a bunch of ragtags, good-for-nothing underdogs who they were like, you know, why are you guys even trying? Why don't you just go home? What is the point of this entire exercise? You guys aren't going to win anything. East Africa to khel nahi raha. Tum log kya karoge? You know, and these guys go on to achieve the ultimate glory. They won the World Cup and galvanized the nation, and it goes down as perhaps the greatest sporting story of our country, given that cricket is the biggest sport and this is what made cricket, you know. So I found myself telling Kabir and Madhu, the producers, that I feel that we are the chosen ones, that somehow we were blessed, that we got chosen by the universe to tell this story as a film,
and they were gracious,
to immortalize it.
They were incredibly gracious.
Incredibly, they were so like excited, you know. It was almost so cute to witness them. They were all so excited, you know, finally the film on that one glorious chapter of our lives is being made. And really, it does fill me with a sense of immense responsibility to kind of be a leader on this film and ensure that the story of these legends is celebrated in all its glory in immortal celluloid.
The boy who I met before Band Baja Bharat still radiates that love, and I love you, brother.
I love you.